Okay, guys, we're going to give this a shot. We're going to try to run through today's assignment. So I'm going to go here to the 8th grade team, Google Classroom. I'm going to scroll down to today's assignment, 5-1, that's today's date. Let's take a look. Let's read the instructions. It says 5.1, number of solutions in a system of equations. So the first thing we're going to do is read the notes. That's the number of solutions PDF attached right here. Okay, so we're going to take a look at these. Okay, so if you click right here on these three dots, you can open this in a new window, and then you can have your notes here in one tab and your assignment open here in another tab. Okay, so it wants us to read through these notes. So what we're going to do, let's take a look real quick. We have three different types of systems of equations. We have the possibility for these equations to have a different slope and a different y-intercept, which means they will intersect at exactly one point and have exactly one solution. Okay? Remember, those solutions are points that fall on both of those lines. Okay, another possibility is that if the slopes are the same, but we have different y-intercepts, we're going to end up with parallel lines. Remember, parallel lines are lines that never, ever, ever touch. Okay, so think about railroad tracks, right? The two ends on a railroad track, they're never going to touch. How do we know? Well, if we look at our equations here and we think about slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where slope is m. This 4 here, 4x, in both of these equations is our slope. Our slopes are the same, y-intercepts are different, parallel lines. These lines never touch. Remember, those solutions to these systems of equations are points that fall on both of these lines. If these lines never touch or never intersect, then there are no points that are on both of those lines. Therefore, there is no solution to this system of equations. All right, and lastly, we have the possibility that these lines might have the same slope and the same y-intercept. Well, if they have the same slope and the same y-intercept, that would make them the same line, meaning they lay on top of each other, right? So every point on that line is going to be on both of those lines. Therefore, every single point is on both of those lines. So there is an infinite number of solutions, or we say infinitely many solutions. All right, so that's just a quick look at the notes. Now let's go back to the assignment page. It wants us to open the graph here, okay, the number of solutions graph here, and then it's asking us to take a look at the notes on the left side and answer the questions on the form. Okay. So take a look over here on the left side of the screen. Or it says, notice the numbers on the left. This is box number 1. So right up here where it says number 1. Okay. We're going to read through the notes, answer questions in the Google form when you are prompted to do so. So the numbers are only important because we talk about them in some of the other notes here. Asks you to take a look at boxes 10 and 11 right here. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. So the first thing it says, recall slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. Okay, so if we look at the two equations below, we have y equals 1/7 x plus 1. All right, where slope is, if we take a look back at our form here, slope is m, and m is whatever's being multiplied by x, so our slope is going to be 1/7, or 1/7. And our y-intercept for this equation is b, if we look at the form here, is b, and that is going to be this 1 here, okay? If you take a look right here, this is going to be important later. These squiggly lines here with the little red dot, okay? This tells me that I'm looking at the red line here, and this one here shows me that I'm looking at the blue line. If I click on that and that now you don't see the color, it's grayed out, that means it's not displaying on the graph, okay? So just pay attention to that. Keep that in mind for later. All right, slope is 1/7, y-intercept is 1. Same thing for the second equation. M, remember, m is what's being multiplied by x, so our slope is going to be negative 2/9. The y-intercept is 1, this one here, okay? So we can see that they have different slopes, okay? Remember, if we take a look back at our notes, We only care when they have different slopes. That's when we know there is one solution. But when the slopes are the same, that's when we have to think about it a little bit. Okay, different slopes, one solution. We can see they have different slopes, and when a system of equations has different slopes, there will be exactly one solution. Okay, remember that solution is where these lines intersect, right here at this point. All right, and then it tells us answer questions 1 through 3 in the Google form. So I'm going to go back to my Google form. You'll see the questions are also kind of in here to help you guys out. All right, at how many points do these red and blue lines intersect? Well, let's take a look. We have the red and blue lines. We have this single point of intersection here. Remember, they have different slopes. That means it's going to have exactly one solution. So we're going to have one here. What is the solution to this system of equations? Well, remember the solution is where these lines intersect. What point is on both lines? And that's this point right here, 0, 1. 0, 1, right there. And then the solution to a system of equations is the point or points that fall on both lines. How many points fall on both of these lines? Well, we already know 1 point, because they have different slopes. Okay? You don't got to get fancy, just 1 or 2 sentences. Explain what you're thinking. All right, 1 through 3. We did them. Let's go back. Let's keep working through here. All right, next we're going to look at the 2 equations in boxes 13 and 14. First thing we want to take a look at are the slopes. Remember, the slopes are the coefficients of x, the numbers being multiplied by x. In this case, all 3 of these have the same slope. Okay, so we're going to first take a look at what it looks like when 2 equations have the same slope but different y-intercepts. And then we're going to see what it looks like when they have the same slope and the same y-intercept. Alright, so first we're looking at the black and the green lines. Same slope, different y-intercept. If we take a look back at our notes, same slope, different y-intercept should be parallel lines. It looks like that's what we have, right? Like railroad tracks. The lines on a railroad tracks. They're never ever going to touch. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is take a look back at the Google form and answer these questions. It asks us how many points do the green and black lines intersect? And then it asks if these lines never intersect, then how many solutions will this system of equations have? Remember, these solutions are points that are on both lines. And if these parallel lines never touch, how many points are going to be on both of those lines? So go ahead, pause here, answer those questions, think about that. After you answer questions 4 and 5, take a look at 6 and 7. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this green line off, and we're going to turn this equation on. So we're going to see the graph of this line land right on top of the graph of the black line. Well, why is that? Well, they have the same slope, they have the same y-intercept. That means it's the same line. It's going to be right on top of the other one. Alright, go ahead and answer questions 6 and 7. When you're finished, click the submit button, go back to your assignment, click mark as done, and then you are finished.